This video is brought to you by Sailrite. Visit Sailrite.com for all your project supplies, tools, and instructions. In this video, we will show how to reupholster side panels on a powerboat. We will remove the old upholstered side panels and replace the foam, and then staple new marine quality vinyl from Sailrite onto them. Some of the backer boards were in bad shape from years of use, so we will use the old ones as patterns and make new ones where needed. Options for backer boards are to use starboard, marine plywood, or plywood that is painted to help reduce water penetration. Each of those selections has positive and negatives. We will not dive into those issues here. There are many ways to upholster side panels. Here we're simply using a backer board with foam and vinyl fabric with piping around the sides. A strip of teak wood will help accentuate our look. We've cut to size our marine plywood and painted it in preparation. Here's Cindy to show us how to upholster side panels. The old vinyl fabric has been removed. We're laying down craft paper in preparation for spray gluing.
Okay, we're ready to work on these side panels for Brian's boat, and Brian made new ones. You can see that it's pretty deteriorated up here. Whoops. And so he made new ones. So we're going to replace the foam and the board. Here's the new board that Brian made. And we're going to glue this sew foam to the board with this side to the board. And I've just cut it a little bit bigger all the way around for now. And then I'm going to trim it down so that we have this angle on it and keep this edge smooth for the cording that goes up that we want to show when it's finished. You can cut this with scissors or you can cut it easily with an electric knife. Either one will work.
To glue this foam in place, we're going to use 3M Super 77 spray adhesive. This spray glue is light duty, but it's not necessary to use a heavy duty, though it would be okay, because the vinyl cover will hold the foam in place after it's installed.
I'm going to spray one direction and then the other direction on both surfaces to get a really good coating on this.
This foam is being sprayed on the backside where the fabric is on the polyurethane foam. The backer board should have the glue applied as well. Once the foam is in place, first we'll show you cutting it with scissors. It can be done, but it's not nearly as nice as using an electric kitchen knife. Using scissors, you can see the edge is not nearly as smooth as it would be if using the electric kitchen knife, which is coming up next. However, this ragged edge will really not show up after the vinyl is installed over it. When using an electric kitchen knife, hold it at an angle, as Cindy is doing here, and just trim along the backer board. Results: a nice, clean, finished edge. That's pretty sweet, isn't it?
Yes.
Before we cover this with vinyl, we want to show you one more of our upholstered side panels. We're going to do something a little bit different here. We're actually going to cut the foam, leaving a little tag at each one of these corners. This tag, or dog ear, will be used to help protect the vinyl fabric from excessive wear at the corners. This is typically the location that gets the most abuse, and protecting the underside of the vinyl from the sharp corner of the backer board will prolong its life, and in our opinion may even look better.
Okay, we've angled both sides off so that it's smooth to the edge of the wood so that we can pull our foam around and there's no thickness here actually on the wood. Right here on this corner we want to leave a little bit of foam so that it does pull around over the wood to protect the corners from any use or wear that they might get. I'm going to trim just a little bit more of it off. I don't really want it to come around to the back of the board because I don't want any more thickness back here than I have to have. Here's two corners that we left the foam on this one and kind of wrapped it around right there at the corner to make it a little more abrasion resistant. This one we did not. This is just the wood. You can see the difference. They do look a little bit different. This one is likely to wear a little bit better than this one. It's kind of up to you how you want to do it.
It's now time to staple our vinyl fabric over the foam and backer board. The vinyl is laying right side down and is cut to size so there's at least 3 to 4 inches of fabric to pull over the backer board and staple in place. You will find many high quality marine vinyl fabrics at Sailrite. Pick yours today. We're using the EZ TC08 staple gun from Sailrite. This is a pneumatic staple gun with a 1/2 inch wide staple, which is much larger than the 3/8 inch standard. The wider staple does a better job of not slitting through the vinyl fabric. Sure, the 3/8 wide staple will work, but if you're in the market for an inexpensive upholstery staple gun, I would purchase this one any day over the standard 3/8 inch. It does make a difference. We have stapled the vinyl in place along the long edges, pulling the vinyl tightly over the backer board and stapling it in place. When we come to this inside curve, Cindy makes a few relief cuts in the vinyl to allow the fabric to fit the corner better. The deeper the cut into the vinyl, the better the vinyl will pull around the curve. However, if it's cut too deep, the slit may be present or visible along the edge. When slitting the vinyl, always check the vinyl by pulling and pushing it into the curve. If it does not lay nicely, you may need to make more slits. In order to check the vinyl here at the curve, Cindy must secure the opposite side first. These final slits will accomplish the look that Cindy is trying to achieve. So now she'll staple it in place. Here at the ridge or hump, the vinyl needs to shrink, so triangular sections are cut out along the backside to allow the fabric to take the transition smoothly. We'll show one of the corners here, stapling down the long side and the short side, and then we'll show how we work one of the corners in place. Then we'll move ahead. Same process for the corner. Make slits along the backside until the excessive fabric is removed, enabling the vinyl to hug the corner and reduce all wrinkles that may be visible from the top and sides of the upholstered side panel. Cindy's goal is to try to remove any wrinkles in the vinyl that may be showing along the edge of the panel. This can be accomplished by making continuous slits in the vinyl material.
All my little clips in here I'm trying to achieve is to get all of these folds away from the corner and back around on the back instead of lined up here along this outside edge. This is where my cording goes, my welting, and this is going to look a lot more clean if these folds are back on the back side of the board.
trim away the excess after it's stapled around the entire perimeter. We still have more work to do, but we're going to skip ahead because all the processes are exactly the same as what's been shown. Next up, we'll install piping around the edge. This is an optional step.
Well, we're ready to apply the new blue cording to this, and you can see that it went from here to here. So I'm going to do it the same way with a new cord.
You can opt to make your own piping, but this is a prefabricated vinyl piping that you can purchase already made by Sailrite. It should be laid right along the side of the panel and then stapled in place along the flange of the prefabricated piping. When you get to very sharp turns, it might be a good idea to cut relief slits into the flange of the piping to allow it to take the curve smoothly. After the piping is installed, our upholstered side panel is ready for installation. What about panels that take drastic turns, like cutouts in the panel that are made to avoid obstacles? In those drastic turns, cutting slits is not enough. An actual gusset must be created. Here, Cindy will explain how.
We're ready to work on this panel for the side of the boat. And we have a really kind of a thick area right here that we're not going to be able to pull the vinyl around and get it nice and smooth on the front and in this area. So I'm going to add a gusset in there to make that work well. So we start by, I've cut my piece bigger than the whole thing by maybe 3 inches all the way around. So I'm going to lay it with the right side down on the wrong side of the vinyl, and I'm going to just trace this edge right here with my pencil. And I want to mark the top of this because I want to stop my stitching right there. So I'm going to mark that area to stop stitching, and I'm going to mark an area up here to stop stitching. And this is the first area I want to do because it's the only stitching on this whole piece. So we want to get this in place, and then we'll pull the rest of it all in place.
Outside of that line, she cuts a 1/2 inch away. This will be the cut line.
And this is my cutting line that I'm marking right now.
And notice that she cuts inside of the line where she will stop sewing. That's because she wants to create a fold at the end so it tucks under. Here we'll give you a preview of what that looks like in the end so you understand what she's doing here. Here's that preview. Notice at the corners you can see that the excess fabric is folded under to make a neat transition. Then it will be stapled in place. Now let's go back to our project.
And I'm leaving a little bit extra like inside these marks so that I have an area to turn under and finish off the edge right here and up here. I'm going to clip to the corners before I stitch. And then I need approximately a 3-inch piece. You need enough to pull from the front of the board around to the back. So I'm going to start with 3 inches. And then I'm going to take it to the machine and sew right sides together from this line all the way across here. And I'm going to stop right there at that where I made that mark.
She sets the stitch length to about 4 millimeters in length, locks it in place, and starts sewing, doing about 3 stitches forward and 3 stitches in reverse directly on top of the previous stitches. She starts at that line that she struck onto the fabric. When she comes to the turn here, she's already created miter slits. She will bury the needle at the turn, lift the presser foot, roll the fabric assembly around so she can sew that small straightaway, and when she gets to the next turn, she'll bury the needle at the turn, lift the presser foot, roll the fabric around so she can follow the next pencil mark all the way to that line, and there she will stop and do a little bit of reversing just as she did at the beginning to help lock the stitch in place.
Now I'm going to trim out this triangle on both of these pieces right here and get rid of that extra fabric.
Trimming it out on that piece that we added to pull it around the board like this will allow it to take the curve. We're going to create a top stitch.
And then turn it over to the right side and do a row of top stitching on the face of this panel, not on the little piece that we've added on. And I'm going to start and stop at the same place I started and stopped with my other first row stitching. And I want to do this one kind of close.
Cindy starts right where she started sewing, does a little bit of reversing, and she'll keep this top stitch about a 1/16 inch away from the splayed out first stitch. So go slow, take your time, and try to make the stitch look good because it will be visible in the end. Be sure to splay the fabric out so it's right along that first stitch, and stop where you stopped sewing the first time. Oops, she needs to place a slit in this because it needs to take a turn there. She forgot to do that earlier. She is sewing through the flap of fabric on the underside. That's important as well.
So you can see we created that angled shape by setting this piece in and making a sort of a gusset there.
That shapely location will now easily be handled with this extra piece of fabric that we call a gusset. Up next, she's going to show you exactly how to staple and make slits in that gusset. Pretty cool, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Slits are still required for a good fit. Always start at any gusset and staple the cover in place there first. Then we'll transition to other areas and pull the vinyl tightly around there and staple the remainder.
I'm just going to get rid of some of this.
Cut away excess fabric, but never cut into any area that will be visible when the cover is installed. Earlier we discussed leaving extra fabric when we were creating the cut in our cover. Here you can see that fold of fabric that creates a nice transition between the part that's been sewn on and the part that will cover the remainder of the panel. That is simply done by folding the fabric back and then stapling it in place once you're happy with how everything is tucked underneath. For this fold, she'll do it a little bit differently, but the same principles. Let's let Cindy explain exactly what she's doing here. Explain what you're doing.
Okay. I've clipped that at an angle right to the seam to let it free from the other seam so I can tuck this underneath this. I would kind of like the top one to be the one that finishes it, just because it looks a little more pleasing with this fold going down rather than a fold going up.
I totally agree. Here she will staple it all in place. Once that gusset is stapled in place and you're happy with the way it looks, we can transition to the rest of the upholstered side panel.
So now we have that difficult corner in place and we can start pulling all the other areas.
Since we've already shown how to go around regular corners and turns, we're not going to continue to show this. Let's give a finished look at what that gusset looks like after it's all stapled in place. Looks beautiful. After stapling the piping in place, let's get another look at what it looks like completed. Coming up next, we'll show you how to install these panels on Brian's 2016 Sailrite project boat. Here's Brian.
We're getting ready to put this panel back on. As you can see, we've got this nice new finished panel, and we're getting ready to poke some holes in it with some screws, but we don't know exactly where those holes need to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the back side. Now on this particular piece, we've got 5 holes that were specifically for the teak trim. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 holes that were there to hold the panel to the boat. So we're going to start by taking our awl, and what we're going to do is we're going to poke through. Make sure you don't poke through your hand, but get your fingers close. We're going to poke through to mark where each of these screws needs to go through. And you want to make sure that as you do it fairly straight to help make sure that your hole is in the right position. And that's why I'm holding the fabric from behind with my fingers. Okay, now we've got all of our holes poked. May not be a bad idea to mark these with a pencil or something because they are just a little bit hard to see. Okay, what we want to do here is just start each screw. We don't want to go all the way through because on these it's actually got to go into the fiberglass. Okay, we're going to start with the 4 that go through the wood and through the fiberglass. And just get each one started. Now we're going to go back and draw each one in. Now through this wood strip, we don't want to overdraw each one. What we're using here is we're using what's called a finish washer in conjunction with a oval head screw. So the screw will set down in there, the finish washer will spread it out, also make it look a little nicer than just a plain screw. One thing that we did a little bit different on our installation now is originally there were some little caps and covers. And those go on pretty easily, just like these. Basically, you've got a little washer cap, goes on there, it screws in, and then this snaps into place. Well, you can see just by looking at that one, they're not very UV stable. Also, they just, the sun eats them, they don't hold up well, they get kicked, they come off. That's why we chose to go, these maybe stand out a little more than some people like. They don't bother me. I would prefer to have the nice clean stainless steel look. Just not a big fan of little plastic caps.
At the time we made and installed these side panels, we did not carry the BeauClip. If we had, it would have been our choice fastening method for most, if not all, of our upholstered side panels. This new product for Sailrite is a must consider for projects like what you see in this video. The BeauClip panel mounting system is a simple and durable fastener solution for hanging panels accurately and securely in place to a solid surface. We've set up this small sample to demonstrate it. First, secure panels in place over top of each other. These temporary screws hold our assembly together so we can accurately drill through both. Using a 1/2-inch drill bit, drill through both surfaces all at once. Each BeauClip will secure approximately 15 pounds per clip. We recommend using one BeauClip for every 14 inches if using 3/8-inch plywood material. Once the 1/2-inch holes are drilled, your screws that hold the panels in position can be removed. Next, we'll take the panel that we removed and we'll upholster it. We're using a foamed-backed headliner here and the Easy TC08 staple gun from Sailrite. Once the outer cover is upholstered, we'll secure the male clip with number 4 flathead screws, not included. For marine or exterior applications, we recommend using stainless steel or brass screws. The female receiver clip is inserted in the permanent structure as shown here, and again, number 4 flathead screws are used to install it. After installation, the BeauClip securely snaps into place and holds up to 15 pounds per clip. You can use the Beau panel mounting system for installing head panels, upholstered panels, headboards, hull liner, headliner panels, access panels in boats and RVs, architectural woodwork, acoustic wall panels, seat cushions, combing pads, and so much more. Order them today from Sailrite. All of our upholstered side panels are complete and installed. Coming up next is the materials list and tools we use to upholster these side panels. We will also include in that list the new BeauClip that would have been used if we'd had it. In this video, we used a single color of vinyl fabric, but you may want to consider using multiple colors of vinyl which can be sewn together using a French seam or a double top stitch. Or you may want to use polypropylene foam with fabric backing and sew in channels, or diamond pleats. Or you may just want to buy the prefabricated channeling fabric from Sailrite. To see more project tutorials that are similar to this one, click on a video here. In the next few months, you will see multiple new tutorial videos for the 2016 project boat, which is a 1982 Regal Ambassador 245XL. Upcoming projects, and some of these are done, include reupholstering a folding helm seat, V-berth cushions, lounge cushions, cushions with the backer board, luxury woven vinyl flooring, and many more. Be sure to subscribe to the Sailrite YouTube channel and watch for them on the Sailrite website. I'm Eric Grant, and from all of us here at Sailrite, thanks for watching.